A few years ago, I used to be very stuck. I wanted to make money online, but no matter what I tried or what I did, somehow no one was interested in what I had to say. I felt invisible. I applied everything the gurus were saying, but people just ignored my offers, my ideas, and my messages. It was so strange. Somehow others with way worse ideas got way more recognition. I just simply didn't understood it. People were praising them and saying how great they were, and it made me feel invisible, so I decided to embark on a journey. I decided to dedicate myself to watching the most persuasive and most valuable videos online and trying to break down why do people actually watch it and love it. I analyzed them. I checked why did the creators said a certain thing? Why did they wait so long until they gave away the advice they learned? Why did the content seems to follow the same structure when the creator wants to sell something? So I broke down videos segment by segment and I came up with my first framework about how to tell great stories. I decided to test it out on my content and it definitely worked and it was okay, but I just felt that it just wasn't there. So I was happy that, finally it's gaining traction and I felt like I was going in the right direction, but I knew I just wasn't there, so I decided to keep going, keep watching videos, keep learning about all this subject, until one day I stumbled upon a Leon Hendricks podcast, where Leon Hendricks and Anne Lawrence were interviewing each other, and Leon subtly dropped his full storytelling framework. I tried to piece together from different content pieces his full framework, and I ended up with something that was super valuable. I decided to test it out, use it to write posts, use it to write scripts, and turns out people loved it. People suddenly cared about what I wanted to say because it was packaged into a story, and I didn't fully understand it at that time, but I actually stumbled upon of a version of the hero's journey framework, one of the OG stories that have been told for thousands of years. However, it had a problem. It was amazing for telling stories and it was amazing to sharing valuable ideas. However, it wasn't a framework for selling things. I made content, people loved it, but it didn't make them act and it didn't make them purchase my stuff. But I wanted to make money online. So I needed to search for something else, and I already knew I was on the right path, so I decided to study VSLs. And I immediately started to notice similarities between the hero's journey, Leon Hendricks framework, and VSLs. They were somewhat very similar, but at the same time they had subtle differences. All the VSLs had certain realizations that the business owners came to that were actually limiting beliefs he wanted to break in the viewer's mind. Let me give you the OG example, and sorry guys for breaking your reality and sorry for doing this, but you probably heard a lot of times business owners tell to you, or you heard other business owners say that you should invest in yourself. Investing in myself made millions, you should be investing in yourself. Why do they say that? It's by the way, it's true. Why do they say it so much? They simply say it so much because they benefit from you believing that thing. If you believe you need to invest in yourself, then you will buy their course. If they tell you you should save every penny you have, you should be putting it into savings, that's true too, but they don't tell that because they want you to spend the money on their course. And if on one side they say you should be investing in yourself, this skill made me millions, then you connect the dots and it's like, I should invest in myself, this skill making millions. If I learn the skill by investing in myself, then I will be a millionaire too. And it's like, wow, it's very subtle. And there are 10 to 15 of these beliefs that usually certain business owners are working on into breaking in the audience's mind. And sorry guys for ruining your reality, but once you start seeing these things, you can't unsee it. And the whole content creator space will look very, very different. But back to the topic. So I started to applying this framework I just learned to my own content. And suddenly I didn't just attract fans, but I started to attract buyers. Suddenly people started to reach out to me because they wanted to work with me. And I applied it to my editing style. and it generated my clients millions. And all this made me realize that at the end of the day, you can be the most interesting person with the craziest stories, with the most valuable ideas, with the best results in the space. But if you can't communicate these ideas clearly and persuasively, people just won't care. And this is the problem I dedicated myself to solve. So I created a group for business owners and content specialists who want to create persuasive content either for their channel or for their client's channel. I personally help business owners get to 200k a month, help Chase channel generate over $1 million and triple his channel size. I worked with people like Andrew Kirby, Sam Owens, and even with this small channel I generated $100,000. And I got to the point of my life when I decided I wanted to share what I learned on this journey. So I compiled some resources about the Epiphany Story framework inside my community that you can get access to totally for free. Link in the description, and hopefully see you inside. And please start applying this framework because it will work for you too. So let me actually share you the framework that generated millions for people I worked with, and honestly over billions in this market. And this is the framework most business owners are gatekeeping, gurus won't want to tell anyone, and once you see this framework, honestly you can't unsee it, you will see this everywhere. So let's go through it. Phase 1, backstory. What is your backstory that gives us a vested interest in your journey? What is the desire or results that you want to achieve? External, what is your external desires, internal desires, and what are the old vehicles that you tried in the past to get but didn't work for you? So technically we talk about your backstory. This is who I was, this is what I tried, and this is what were the things that didn't work for me. Phase 2, the journey. What was the call or reason that made you start this journey? Who or what is the villain that is keeping you from having success? What will happen if you don't have success on this journey? So usually at phase 2, you embark on a journey. Actually, in this video, I just presented that I literally embarked on a journey, but it's usually like I was sick, so I went out and was searching for a medicine that, was helping me. I couldn't get sales, so I started studying. It's like you go on this journey to try to find a solution to the problem. And sometimes it's generally you meet with someone, you meet with a guide that helps you get there. And also there is a villain that's keeping you from having this success. The villain is less literal villain. It's not like, oh, this person didn't help me. It's more the fact of like, there was some negative thing holding you back. And the third, what will happen if you don't have success on this journey? We want to emphasize the negatives, not just the positives with the story. We want to say, if I don't get what I want, or if I don't find the medicine for my sickness, I die. If I don't figure out how to make this money or how to learn this skill, I might be homeless. I'm just giving crazy examples, but it's like, it's not just like, yeah, I wanted to go on this journey because it sounded fun. It's like there was a serious desire to go on this journey, and there was a serious downside if you don't succeed on this journey. And with the storytelling framework, with the Epiphany Story framework, this is what gives you true power. Because, technically the viewer suddenly become very, very invested in the journey. You don't want the person to die, you don't want their life to be destroyed, so you suddenly want to know what will happen with them. Third phase, the new opportunity. Who was the guy who gave you this epiphany? What was the epiphany you experienced, and what is the new opportunity you created from this epiphany? So this is where it gets interesting, because you came to some realization, let's say. You went on this journey, you learned the skill of sales, and it made you come to the epiphany of like how important is it to work hard. I'm making some strange examples up. Or maybe the epiphany is that sales is the #1 skill to succeed, if you're selling something around sales. And also there was a guide who gave you this realization. So you say that I met with my mentor and I learned this thing, or my mentor helped me. And the reason, people say this is the coaching program or something. You want to say that they didn't just magically stumbled upon something, there was actually a mentor helping them. And no one was doing sales the way they were doing it, and this new way changed everything. The framework, phase 4. What is the strategy or frameworks you developed to get you to the desire you wanted to achieve? What were the results you got by following the frameworks? What were other results from following your frameworks? So technically you came to this realization and you decided to make this realization into a framework and, you know, apply it to your life, apply the sales lessons you learned into your life, apply the video editing you learned in your life, and suddenly you notice your life change. And, you know, then you applied it to other people's life and you seen other people's life change too. And phase 5, achievement and transformation. This is a very interesting one. What end results did you accomplish and how did you transform during the journey, which is like external desires and internal desires, and this is where it becomes a little bit complex, because at the beginning, you know, this is where we tie back and actually go full circle. There were at the beginning with your backstory an external desire you want to achieve, make more money. There were an internal desire you wanted to achieve, you wanted to feel proud of yourself. And you know, this is where it becomes super deep and super really storytelling, because you know, with the right storytelling framework, you don't just say, hey, I went on a journey and I achieved my goal. You say that I went on this journey and I transformed internally. It transformed how I see myself. It gave me peace. It made me finally proud of myself. And you know, maybe at the beginning you say I wasn't proud of myself, I doing all these bad habits, I was in a downhill spiral, but you end up with the story that you found this vehicle, you applied it to others, it helped you make the money, but on top of it, you finally started to feel good about yourself. And this is a very powerful thing, but I'm saying this is where, you know, storytelling becomes more complex, so I don't want to complicate it. Here's the full framework. I want you guys to download it and apply it, and first follow it one by one, and every time you write a story, you come to a realization, you make a new video, follow this framework. And if you do it enough times, over time you will naturally just start writing stories according to all this. So I will link it down below. I'm opening up like a school group, and in the resources page you guys will get this for totally free. You can download it and use it, and yeah, hope you will start using it because this is crazy powerful. Oh, and by the way, this whole video was made using this framework. See you in the next one.